We are joined by Special Superintendent Ian Horsey to tell us more about what it takes to become a Special Constable here in the Isle of Man. First of all, I want to know, Ian, what powers do you have as a Special Constable?
We have the same powers as our regular colleagues who do it full time. There's no difference in what we can and can't do on the day-to-day policing side of it. And as we're sworn in as constables, we'll hold the same office as they do, and we have exactly the same powers.
How did you get involved in all this?
I had initially considered joining as a full-time police officer many years ago, but through a series of events decided that it probably wasn't the best thing for me to do, but still wanted to do something that would allow me to give something back to the community. So the opportunity arose. They were advertising for Special Constables at that point, so I thought I might as well have a go and do that. And I think 8 years later, here I am now trying to get other people to come and join me and do the same kind of thing.
And in terms of time commitment, what's expected of people who join in this way?
The minimum requirement we've got over the course of 12 months is 100 hours, which doesn't work out as being an awful lot. It's 2 shifts a month, if that, to go through. But we need to have some kind of minimum commitment to make sure that people maintain their skills and their competencies while they're out and about, to make sure that they're operating at the same level as their regular counterparts.
And how old do you have to be and how old can you be to do this?
Slightly differently to the regulars, there isn't an upper age limit that we put on it. However, you have to be capable of passing the physical side of it, so able to do the bleep test. The minimum age is 18 and a half at start of training, but we do tend to quite like people who've maybe come a little bit after that, so they've got a bit of life experience to bring to the role as well, because 18 and a half can seem quite young when they come in and do that.
You said life experience is a good thing to have, but what other sort of skill sets or what sort of background do you think makes a really good Special Constable?
I think it's the variety of backgrounds of the people we have doing it that actually makes it. Really what we want from people is a desire to get involved, who want to learn and to want to challenge themselves and to do something that will benefit their local community or the island as a whole.
And we mentioned that the bleep test is part of the recruitment process. Do you remember your bleep test?
I do.
How did it go okay?
It was okay. I still use it regularly with my under-12 football team as fitness training then, just to make sure that I keep
I
up
bet
to
they
it.
love you.
But we have to do that annually to make sure that we maintain a level of fitness. So every year we know what's coming.
And what else is involved in the training?
So the bleep test is part of the initial physical assessment before you get through to the next stage, which is a classroom-based assessment and some interviews. So once they're out of the way and you've been offered a place, we've got 6 weekends of classroom-based training. So 1 day at a weekend for 6 weeks, where we go in and we cover the paper side of it, the law and the regulations and things behind that. Once that's all out of the way and complete, we need a 2 weekends for personal safety training. So that's the use of handcuffs and your baton and your parva spray, and also how to detain people safely so that they don't get hurt and you don't get hurt while you're doing it. And then on top of that, we've got a weekend for a first aid course. And once that's all done, then you're in a position to go out and start learning on the beat. We do it a bit differently to the regular officers. We can't ask people to put in best part of a whole year of Saturdays just to do the legal side of it before they're allowed out. So most of our training is actually done on the street with a regular officer to bring them up to a standard.
And do you remember the first time you went out?
I do indeed, yes. When I started, I went up to work out at the Northern Neighbourhood Policing Team in Ramsey, and it was the days of nightlife and on a Friday and a Saturday night. So I was very quickly embroiled in a little bit of an incident outside, which led to somebody being led away in handcuffs. So it was right in at the deep end.
I wonder what it's like being an officer over here when the likelihood is at some point you will come across somebody that you know. How do you deal with that?
It's inevitable. So we're always going to bump into people that we know, and it'll always depend on the severity of the offence and what's going on. But if it's something that's quite severe, but you have a good relationship with that person, then outside of that initial contact, you have to defer that and hold it on to somebody who doesn't know that person, who can take over and do that with impartially.
So how many Special Constables do we have at the moment, and how many are you looking to recruit?
So I've got 40 on the books at the minute. We lost 8 of them last year to go and join the regular constabulary. So there was an intake of regular police officers last year that was taken solely from within the Special Constabulary. So 8 people left. They are now out on the streets as regular police officers, having completed their 14 weeks of training. So I'm looking for another 8 people to bring the number back up. and get some more people out there, and just to get them interested, see what it's like, and whether it's people who just want to give some time back to the community, or whether it's people who are looking as the police as a potential career in the future. It gives them an opportunity to try it and see if it is actually for them.
Yeah, it would seem to be a great stepping stone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's different departments as well, isn't it, that they could potentially be involved with?
Yeah, up until a couple of years ago, if you were a special constable, you worked with one of the neighbourhood policing teams, and that's all that you'd be expected to do. We've had a big change over the last few years where people with certain experience and talents have been asked to go and work in some of the more specialist departments. So we now have 2 special constables who work within the central alcohol unit. So they go out and do licensed premises checks, and they go and speak to the licensees during the week and at weekends to make sure everything's in order there. We have people working within firearms licensing, so they go around and do the checks of the properties for people who keep shotguns or rifles to make sure that they're secure, they've got all the necessary bits and pieces in place for that one. We have one of our special constables who last year started working within the public protection unit and has done some amazing work with victims of domestic violence, and gives up a lot of his time to do that and does it to an incredibly high standard. And there's 5 of us who work as well within the roads policing unit. So during TT and Manx Grand Prix, we're pretty much out there every day working on keeping the roads safe around the island.
I mean, you talked about 100 hours as being the minimum a month. Is there any maximum?
100 a year, 100 a month might be a bit,
yes.
a bit big an ask. No, but there's absolutely no maximum on it. And what you'll find is people who are enjoying it and are into it will give over and above that one. 400 or 500 hours a year will be normal for people who don't have necessarily family commitments but are enjoying it. Will be in there, and every other weekend at least doing a shift.
And you have 2 presentations coming up, don't you, where people can find out more?
Yeah, we're doing it slightly differently this year. Over the last few years, we've, during the recruitment process, we've offered people a chance to come and have a chat with us over a coffee to find out more about it. They haven't been, it wasn't particularly well received last year. Lots of people tend to think they already know that they're going to go and do it and go ahead with it. So we thought this year we'd try something different. So we've got 2 presentation evenings, first on Tuesday the 29th of January and the second on Thursday the 31st of January. And we're taking over the press centre up at the TT grandstand so we can get people in there. We're going to give them a presentation on what you can expect from joining the Special Constabulary, what's required of you, and take you through the process as well. So what application forms you need to fill in, the physical tests and stuff like that we need to do, and also go through with them the dates that they'll have to attend as part of their training. So there's going to be a requirement that people will know what the dates are and that they sign up for those ahead of putting their application form in, because it's very difficult to chop and change for lots of people when we're trying to do something like this.
And what would you say, from your experience, is the best thing about being a special constable?
It's the variety. It's just every shift is different. You can't go into it expecting to do something. You might go in and working in roads policing. I might think, right, well, it's a nice day. I'll go out and take the laser gun and do some community speed enforcement somewhere. But you'll turn up and there'll either be a bump somewhere that you have to go and deal with there, or there's an event on somewhere that needs somebody to go and do a little bit of high visibility patrols on, and you'll meet some lovely people doing all of that. But there's very rarely any guarantee in what you're going to do when you turn up on any particular day.
You do get a uniform, don't you?
Yeah, normal uniform, everything like everybody else. And say, in terms of between us and our regular colleagues, there's no difference in the uniform or the equipment we carry or anything like that. So if you meet any of us down on the street or at any anything like that, you wouldn't necessarily know that you're dealing with a special constable rather than a regular officer.
And do you find your friends and family behave a lot better around you?
Whether they behave a lot better or not, I don't know, but they're certainly a bit more wary.
Respect you, maybe more.
No, definitely not.
And is there a fairly even split between men and women in the Special Constabulary?
Not quite at the moment, no. It's about 25% female at the minute, but we've lost a few of those to go and join the regulars last year as well. So we had 3 of our new recruits last year, females who've gone and joined the regulars. But we're open. We just want people who say it's people who are keen and want to challenge themselves who we want. So the more the merrier. Let's just get some people in, see what they're like, and get them involved.
Sounds absolutely brilliant. Ian, remind people where they can find out more information.
Hopefully, all the application forms and the information they need on the presentations will be on the Isle of Man Police website towards the end of this week. It'll definitely be out on all our social media feeds over the next couple of weeks while we build up to the actual recruitment window, which is throughout February. And then we've got the 2 presentation evenings. They can come along to those, find out more then, but then interact with us on our social media pages or through emailing the police headquarters, and we can get back to people if they've got any specific questions.